I am excited to bring up our next speaker that's going to talk, Clementina. She is phenomenal. I will let her introduce herself and give a little spiel about you, but go for it, honey.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, Jennifer. And thank you, Diani. Your story was so profound in so many ways and so much success. So I'm really honored to be here with this beautiful community.
Will you tell us where you're zooming in from?
I'm zooming in from a different place. I'm currently in North Macedonia, or you might know it as Macedonia, which is right north of Greece in Europe. And now this is my birth country. I haven't been living here for about like 13 years. I've lived all over the world, not yet in the US, but I've lived in Austria, Belgium, Philippines, Bali, Portugal, Norway, and traveled a lot. So yeah, a little bit about me. I started my, let's say, well, there's a lot to share, but I'll just share a few highlights. So whilst I was still in university, I got exposed to a lot of global kind of like challenges through a nonprofit I used to work for. That nonprofit brought me to Austria and then to Belgium, and I started working in the corporate world. Climbed the ladder pretty fast in one of the biggest corporates in the world, which has also like a lot of employees. I did all from like operations to program management to business development. But throughout that whole time, what I realized is like I was working really hard to, like I had a lot of success, but I was working really hard. And I realized that I had passion around sustainability. And so I was using a lot of my free time to work in sustainability. And that in itself was like I didn't realize, but after a certain time, I realized I was running for the train in Belgium, in Brussels, to go for work, and I realized like my heart was doing palpitations, and that's when I realized, wow, I am actually, I could I could leave a heart attack right now. I could have a heart attack at this young age, and so I didn't realize how much I was straining myself and my body, and so that's when I was thinking like I need to reassess this, I need to reevaluate, I need to slow down because everything was just so fast, like moving so fast in the career, in my passions. Like I went to the US, I trained with Al Gore to host these climate change presentations, came to Brussels, did advocacy, all that besides my work. And finally, I wanted to move from the corporate world into sustainability, and I did that, and it was exciting. I moved to the Philippines to work on a UN environment initiative, and that was beautiful because it was exciting, it was new. I started diving, which I never thought I would. It was required for the job. I honestly almost like I had a heart pain, I think, or like chest pain when I arrived there for weeks because I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna dive? But I'm so like passionate about like adventure and doing things different. And, I was like, no, I'll go through this. It's fine. So did had a lot of success there in terms of like bringing finances for the initiative and building new products and solutions or supporting that, like leading that because it was needed for the, for diversifying the income stream. And I realized, wow, I can bring a lot to, you know, like to projects because like in the corporate world I was thinking, oh, I'm doing all this but there are a lot of connections here, is it really my success? So I was like doubting myself, and then in this nonprofit I was like, wow, this is like, from scratch I created so much. And so at the same time my level of confidence rose because I was able to create a whole new department from scratch and bring a lot of funding. I was very happy in sustainability, but at the same time, it wasn't really fulfilling my soul and I wasn't really feeling empowered. I could see the difference, but I was like, oh, something is not fully right here, So I realized, wow, something is not fully right. At the same time, I moved to Bali. So this is where a lot of my spiritual awakening started and started awakening to my intuition, there I went for a talk, and there was this coach speaking about creating your own business. And I was like, I want to work with this guy. I don't think I'm capable of creating my own business, but I want to work with him. I don't care. I'll invest right away. So I invested, and actually I had my own first business like in a matter of like months. And I was like, wow, I'm doing now, like, I started with an ethical fashion business. I had clients, I was creative. I was like, wow, wow, wow. Like, I didn't think I'm capable, enough to sell a product by myself or be that creative. And so that brought me into this, like, what else is it there that I'm not really recognizing in myself? What else is like a BS? Am I really that ugly? I've always had a bit of an issue with beauty, to find out lately, like a lot of women have actually. It's such a collective wounding. Um, am I really, not enough? Am I really, this and that? Had so many doubts. And, on the outside, I was very confident. Everybody thought like, wow, she's like super confident. She's achieving all this success. But actually on the inside, I wasn't so confident. So what happened is like, I came to like to certain content around like collective trauma. And that's when I also started diving deeper into myself, into shadow work, into like my beliefs, and what is impacting me and the world. Like, why is it that the dots didn't connect with me in sustainability, which I thought that that's where I will make the biggest impact, and I'll feel fulfilled. I realized that wasn't, because I wasn't actually, first of all, connected to myself, and I was conditioned in so many ways to save the world, project everything on the outside, but actually not look at my inside, which is where I found a lot of the root causes for what we're going through globally. So I was like, wow, okay, so I can, like, just by looking at myself, I'll make more of a difference than working in sustainability. I was like, okay, maybe let's dive in. And so that's when I started coaching people, because I've already started like, one business and monetized it, and sold products, and it was like aligned to some extent. Let's say I started coaching people, and today especially in the past 2 years, and this coaching business has been like 4 years, although I've been coaching people for much longer without like actually charging. um I I realized like this past 2 years, it actually, even like, I slowed down a lot, because I was able to go deeper in myself and in my feminine energy, to realize like I've been always like, whatever business adventure I found myself, I kept on working hard. So I was like, this past 2 years, when I moved to Madeira, I had a beautiful heart opening experience, that I really got in touch with my feminine side, and deepened just the way that I was feeling myself, and that changed a lot of things. I really slowed down. My business slowed down a little bit, but not my clients' businesses. They were like thriving, and I was bringing so much like depth from myself, and helped them like really shift like timelines, that I was like, wow. So I had a lot of like retainers, like everybody was just kept on working with me, and I was like, wow, like there's some really good work there. And then so a lot of things have opened up in this past 2 years, for me to like slow down, be in my body, and feel myself, and for the first time like feel the purpose of, or who I am, my essence, from like just the way of being, like being like, okay, I don't have to achieve to be valued in the world. I am valuable. And so that's like really about like reclaiming this feminine energy, I feel, of like calmness and ease, and gentleness. And of course, a lot of it came from my desire to be in a romantic, deep, profound relationship with a soulmate, because being in always like the working hard is, it's pretty much, putting like if I can say the word, like cock, like cock energy. And that's not so like, then things like, we have to work hard to make things happen. But
It's
when we
cock hard.
yeah. And like how one of my coaches says, like, imagine like having two cocks at home, and they're just like, So I'm like, no, I've been conditioned in this masculine energy. Yes, yes, the cock is still happening sometimes, but I'm like, no, I really wanna like stop abandoning myself. I wanna stop abandoning my feminine energy, and the depth that I feel, like, this like void, and this everything expanding from like just myself, knowing that, yeah, I can put money on the pedestal, I can put other people's opinion on the pedestal and their validation, but actually everything is from within. So this is what this past 2 years have brought to me, the ability to feel that, and on an experiential level, bring it to my clients so they can actually finally like rewire from within. So what I'm currently doing is like helping people shift timelines from the heart and from the body. And this has been huge, and my new project that I would love also, well, I would love support with, but actually I can also support you through that, is I've decided to launch a YouTube channel, whereas I'm not going to post so much at the beginning. I'm building up some content. In light of that, I've decided to give gifts to my community to experience like this heart-led timeline shift session with me, and some of the content I will be using for the channel, but not from the person, just from me. So because it's very like deep and profound work that we do, and I honor people's privacy, and I want them to feel safe. So that's what I do. And currently, I mean, in my home country, I feel, I talked to Jennifer the other day that I've just started actually building my community here, which is more aligned to where I'm at. And this is what I've been lacking, a community here for this past few months. And this is why I've been so keen to join beautiful women here who are open to these kind of conversations. And whereas this had started happening here, I feel that connecting with community is what I want to do, and being of service with my gifts, and continuing to amplify that magic that I've been, feeling from within and giving to my clients. So that's available for you. I'll post it in the group so you can have the details, and then I'll post a link if you want to, like message me, and we can talk about, if this is the right fit for you to experience this timeline shift session. Some people are a little bit afraid because like, oh my God, what am I going to find? But it's fine. We'll go as far as you're ready. And sometimes it's just about meeting and having a chat. So, and yes, Diani, like I'm also happy to have a chat with you and just hold space for your wherever you're at as well, and get to know you. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll come here another time as well to bring a little bit more of that juicy kind of like more. We're gonna go into the more juicy aspect of like the feminine and opening, and how can we actually be in our higher heart-led timeline, where for a lot of women, I feel it's about like allowing ourselves to be in more ease and leaning back, and not working constantly hard, and filling up every single second of our time, feeling the space within, so we can receive more with ease. Because the fear is that everything is going to fall apart if I stop. Which is actually not true, but we have to approve of that with our body as well. So I'll come and serve some of the magic to you soon. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this. It's like our breath, right? Like, we don't hoard our breath. When we breathe freely out and in. And that's how everything should be, is breathing out and in. We give and we receive. We give and we receive. If we hoard our breath, are we going to receive properly? And that's really the same thing you're saying, which is beautiful. So we had a great conversation yesterday. And so what I wanted to do is not next Friday, but the following Friday when we have another call, is having her walk through a session for all of us together. So I thought that would be really fun. But one thing I want you to explain really quick is, I understand this, and maybe a couple other people do, but not everybody does as far as timelines. Can you explain that a little bit more?
It's just for me, it's just the best way that I could describe what I do right now, and I'm still finding the words, to be honest. But what it feels like the other day, one of my clients said, like, I feel like I'm in a different paradigm right now. Like, it's because when we go in the body, and when we can actually feel something from an embodied place, like in the body, like we use the body as a tool, to get deeper and to stay present and to feel a new possibility, a new reality. And oftentimes this reality is like more liquid, it's more fluid, it's more gentle, it's more loving, it's more joyful, it's more playful, these kind of like beautiful, juicy feelings. It's expansive, like we can feel into like money potentials or relationships, but it feels expansive. So by feeling it, we're already shifting hugely, because we cannot do it on the mind level. It is impossible. That's why a lot of these like personal development programs, they don't work, because it's on the mind level. Like on the mind level, you can, go as far as like, yeah, you can push through, you can have a shift in perspective, you can have a mind shift, but when you feel it, when something really, really deeply feel it, and when you get like emotional about it, and when you know who you are from the within, things just shift much more, much faster, much bigger, much simpler, without like questioning, is this really true? Your truth, your power, your what's possible, So I hope this is clear, even though it's still a bit vague.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm sure, Blurta will explain with this too, is that, our brain and our mind keeps us safe, but it actually, I say it lies. Like it tells you false things. And it does it just to keep you safe. But if you can sit within your body and feel it, that's actually what's accurate. Your body never lies. Like it's telling you what it is. Your mind will lie, right? Because it wants to keep you safe.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the body, and there are different ways to recognize all these things. There are aspects of us that are still like so conditioned and so much in fear or trauma or whatever, like, but there are ways to come to the truth, because we know how it speaks. It speaks lighter, you feel more expansive, there is the super ego that can attack us, you're not doing enough, you're always this, you're always that, blah 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 blah, like, okay, yeah, we can step back from that and just be like, and know like how our mind speaks. Our mind wants safety, so knowing what the different aspects of us want, and just being able to still come in the heart, and then use the mind to rationalize. You might be like, okay, this is what I want from the heart, but for now I'm just choosing this because of a certain reason. You can still make your choices, but it's important to know, what do you really, really desire, because that's when the real fulfillment comes. Because otherwise we're always moving, but we're not really fulfilled from
Yeah.
deep within.
No, I love that. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? No. Okay. But we're gonna do a session, and I'll put that out on the group, and then I'll let everybody know. So thank you. I appreciate you. And we actually had a beautiful conversation yesterday, and I put in like my storyboard that I was going to create a retreat that was going to be out of the country for this year, which I didn't do. Um, but I have a feeling that it's actually next year. And we had this beautiful conversation about doing a retreat, possibly maybe in Greece or Bali next year. So I'm very excited about it. So, and I have a couple other women that are amazing that would jump in it. And so that is to come. So yeah. Um, the next person I want to introduce is a doll, just to watch her grow, just honestly within the last 2 months. Just the growth she's done and the heart she has is just amazing. I mean, every single person on here has an amazing heart.